Huge thank you to TacPack for sponsoring today's video. TacPack is a monthly subscription box filled with useful professional grade gear and top brands. The June TacPack is going to be packed full of killer gear. The standard pack features AR gear, survival gear, and shooting accessories. TacPack Plus will be valued at over $310. New subscribers should use code PAT to get a free EDC kit worth $65 packed in their first TacPack, putting the total value with code PAT at $375 for TacPack Plus. TacPack has two main tiers, Standard and Plus. Standard costs $59.95 shipped and typically has a value of $90 to $120. TacPack Plus costs $139.95 shipped and is worth $240 to $300. Remember to use code PAT for your free $65 freebie. Today is Friday, May 24, 2024, and starting as of yesterday, a whole bunch of footage from ATF Director Stecen Dettelbach has been dumped out onto the internet, and it is very unimpressive. There are lots of things that I saw about this fella in this video that I do not like. Now, it's really easy, us in the gun community, to pile on someone that we don't like, as in any member of the ATF. You know, they're so villainized, and a lot of time, they deserve it. So let's go ahead and start out with a little news article from NSSF. ATF Director under fire for executive overreach. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Explosives Director Stecen Dettelbach testified before the U.S. House of Representatives Judiciary Committee in an oversight hearing where Congress members strongly criticized the abusive rulemaking process that sidestepped Congress. Several members criticized the vagueness of the ATF's engaged in the business final rule that would require nearly all private firearms sales to obtain a federal firearms license, conduct background checks, and maintain records under the threat of prison. So now there are hours of video and commentary that can be put out, but there is one video that stood out in my mind, and this was the video where Stecen Dettelbach was asked to apologize to the widow of Brian Malinowski. Now, if you have been under a rock, Brian Malinowski was the subject of a no-knock raid. He fired at ATF and was ultimately killed. So now here Dettelbach is asked to apologize to the widow, and he makes a very, very poor attempt to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe with us today, Ms. Malinowski, if you're out there, would you please stand? I'd like to recognize you, Ms. Malinowski. Her first name is Mayor, Director. Would you like to stand up and look at her and apologize?
I've already said, of course.
First failure is that he was asked to stand up and apologize to her. Simply enough, all he does is still sits in that chair in a bit of a slouched position, and it's kind of a standoffish, lean back type position that really doesn't lend itself to a sincere apology.
Of course, whenever these things happen, it's a tragedy. Of course we're sorry. Everybody is sorry that this occurred.
Yeah, look at her, don't look at me.
So now he's asked to look at the widow, and he keeps looking back at the microphone. You know, the widow has eyes, and she has pain in her heart, and I'm pretty sure that he knows this. So with him looking back and forth between the widow and the microphone doesn't have eyeballs. He's going to use this microphone as an excuse to break glance with the widow.
It doesn't mean that, I'm trying to also speak into the microphone, it doesn't mean that we can adjudicate this here today. There's an investigation going on. But of course, everybody, and everybody feels bad. I'm sure that a federal agent was shot, not shot at, shot that day. Those things are hard facts for all of us.
In his apology, he has to bring up the fact that a federal agent was shot. This is very disrespectful on several levels. I'm just going to break it down to my simplest understanding of this, the simplest thing that I can convey in the quickest way. So he's talking about a federal agent being shot. Well, this federal agent being shot, nothing's been mentioned about this federal agent being shot fatally. Nothing's mentioned about him having a disability or anything that's coming from this. The gunshot wound that Brian Malinowski got, that one wound up turning into words on a death certificate. So you have an agent that was shot, Malinowski was shot, but Malinowski's wound didn't just stay a wound, it turned into the reason for death on his death certificate. There is a complete difference. The fact that he has to bring up that an agent got shot is very disrespectful. So let's say, I don't know, at the very most, Malinowski laid down that night and put on a CPAP mask. I'm not saying that he needed a CPAP mask. I'm just saying at the very most, he might have taken off his robe, kicked off his bed shoes or whatever it was, laid down, and that was the most of his preparation for his evening. These agents, the ones that walked up and placed tape on the ring cam, the doorbell cam, they suited up in body armor. If you're going into a situation where you suit up in body armor, you are literally signing a contract. There is the possibility that you're going to find bodily harm. Malinowski did not lay down that night hoping for bodily harm. He did not lay down expecting bodily harm. He did not expect a no-knock raid at 6 a.m. So, very much so, Malinowski got up and he thought he was defending his home. This is a point that will be made later on in the video by the representative. But at the very most, like I said, Malinowski just laid down hoping for a good night's sleep, and that agent went into the situation expecting to be a bullet sponge.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to enter something into the record. Your testimony, you say guns are the leading cause of death for children in the U.S. Not according to Snoops. It's a far-left publication. It is traffic crashes. Could I have that entered into the record?
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you so very much.
So there we go with that old narrative that guns are the #1 killer of kids. They had no problem putting that into the record that traffic crashes are. So let's ban all cars.
I was a sheriff, 8 years as in law enforcement, 30, conducted a lot of search warrants. My agency, I would not allow for no-knocks. Just didn't allow it because what we've seen over the past several years, when you have these SWAT teams looking like ninjas coming to doors at 6 o'clock in the morning, it just could cause some problems. You stated in your testimony just a few minutes ago, 11,000 of these a year, very dangerous.
11,000 ATF raids per year. Boy, there is a lot more that the news doesn't tell us about. We literally only hear the high points when this pops up.
Very dangerous, done with very experienced agents, right? What policies do you have when you are going to execute search warrants, arrest warrants, to mitigate risk? Mitigate risk.
Yeah, Congressman, first of all, we do a very, very thorough job of training, which is, of course, as you know, as a sheriff, very important. Second, we have operations planning. We have review of the operations.
Executing a search, well, thank you. Executing a search warrant pre-dawn, early in the morning, knowing people are going to be in bed, how does that mitigate risk? Especially when you do it and it's a no-knock.
So Congressman, as a former sworn sheriff, I assume you would agree with me that police are entitled to due process also.
Just something I'm going to draw really quickly from this. You look at his position on this microphone. He is not in a very good bodily position on this microphone. He's the director of the ATF, and he can't even take control of a microphone. He's literally having to slump down and kind of move toward the microphone. You would expect somebody with that much power to actually be able to take power of that microphone and get it in front of its face.
I tell you what it appears to me is what I've seen from the federal government, whether it's ATF or the FBI, doing search warrants or arrest warrants on J6ers, going in there with flashbangs, with the big Bearcats. I had a Bearcat, I know what it is. And having agents come out looking like they're ninja turtles for combat. I think not only are you scaring the hell out of the entire neighborhood, but when you kick down or break down a door and you don't even announce who you are, what do you think is going to happen? This was Mr. Malinowski there to try to protect his family. He didn't know. If you would have called him, sir, had a casual conversation, were you aware that he had no criminal history?
Sheriff?
I just want to ask a question. Are you aware, did you know the gentleman had no criminal history? No prior?
Am I aware sitting here?
Yes. Were you aware of it?
In firearms trafficking cases, and people who are dealing without a license and buying 150
I'm sure there are a lot of bad hombres out there.
would not have a criminal.
I'm trying to focus on Mr. Malinowski. Were you personally aware that he didn't have a criminal history?
Again, I'm trying to answer your question directly.
Obviously, it's quite clear you weren't. It's quite clear you weren't. And I want to talk about mitigating risk, but were your agents wearing body cameras that day?
Again, I've tried to say this. I'd like a chance to answer this. The entire field division that covers Arkansas had not yet been phased in.
You have a budget. Try to convince the American people you don't have the do-re-mi to put body cameras on your agents that are conducting 11,000 warrants. These are dangerous. You've got 11,000 of them out there, and you had a budget last year of $1.672 billion with a B. And you're telling me, I'm sorry, folks, I can't provide this transparency to the American people. I can't because I don't have the budget to do so. The American people, there's a problem right now with law enforcement out there. And I have the picture and the image of every law enforcement officer that's been killed in the past 3.5 years, and there's way too many. There's way too many on my wall.
We agree.
And so we have body-worn cameras, and why do we do that? Because there is a lack of trust between the police and the communities they serve. So when you provide these cameras, there's no he said, she said. It's all on record. And you didn't have your body cameras on that day? I'm telling you, it stinks to high heaven. I highly recommend you cooperate with this committee and you try to explain, other than this, I don't have the money to do so and I'm phasing it in. Buddy, you got to get your priorities, reshuffle your priorities and get your priorities in order. And I highly recommend you get body cameras on every one of those individuals that are searching these warrants, because it seems like there's a cover up here.
So, yes, all of this stuff came out. I don't advise you watch much of it if your blood pressure gets elevated. I don't advise you watch much of it if you plan on being in a good mood. Of course, you may just be sadistic enough to watch him squirm and try not to answer questions as much as he can. So you can go check all that stuff out. I sourced this from Forbes. Forbes had a great deal of it. It just seemed like they were just on record and upload. So y'all can go check that out. Anyway, hope y'all have a wonderful day. I love you, and we don't love Dettelbach.